As the state of Jammu and Kashmir witnesses heavy rainfall and floods, a 2017 CAG report has exposed the Jammu and Kashmir government. In 2015, the central government had released 10,000 crore rupees as a special flood package for the state. Now, this is in the aftermath of the disastrous floods in 2014. As per the report, the state government failed to use these funds in a timely and efficient manner. My colleague Mir Farid now joining me on the phone line with more. Farid, good afternoon. Not only does the state of Jammu and Kashmir have to deal with these floods, with the storm that is lashing several parts of the state, but what we have right now before us is this very damning disclosure by the CAG report released in 2017, which shows a clear misappropriation of funds that are actually meant for times like these.
Absolutely. This exposes the PDP-BJP dispensation, which along with destroying almost every institution here also really literally played with the lives of the people, because now we are staring at a situation which could very well be the repeat of 2014 devastating floods. But there could have been measures that may have been initiated or should have been initiated by the government. There was absolutely no dearth of funds. As you rightly said, 10,000 crores. Imagine if this money would have gone or channelized towards the right direction. That was to enhance the water carrying capacity of these rivers, to go for dredging, clean up these flood channels, ensure that illegal constructions which have come up are taken out. People, if at all, need compensation, they are compensated out of this money. Nothing has happened on the ground, and criminally these funds have been either diverted or there has been massive swindling and corruption that is involved. So this demands an immediate audit, a probe into the role of the people who are involved in this, be it the Flood and Irrigation Control Department, be it various other departments of the government.
You off there. I'm sorry to cut you off there. Stay with us. Stay with us. We also have Mustafa Kamal of the NC now joining us on the phone line. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with Mirror now. You can see what's happening. I mean, this is your state. You can see what's happening right before you. We definitely don't want a repeat of 2014, which is why there were certain funds that were allocated to the state. But now, as we can see, a CAG report that's been released, I mean, it's on paper. It's been released, which is clearly showing that there is the money that has not been spent for the right things. The report has even questioned the relief to the victims. What is happening in the state of Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, it's a fact that for the 2014 floods, they were the dying days of the NC government, which had come into being in 2002. And it did that homework of sending the estimate to the government of India of 44,000 crores. And like you just said, whatever has been given is so tardy and so less that talk about it, I don't feel like talking about it. Most of the money hasn't gone to the people who suffered. And it is the government that was in Delhi at that time that is to blame. And I agree with the speaker just before me. Now time has come to investigate. Have the state and the government of India agencies look into the matter. Where did the money go? 44,000 is not a joke. And that is what has happened to many of the schemes otherwise also that have come to light after the imposition of the governor's rule recently. That there are complaints of money not being spent in any part of the state as it should have been spent, and all central government schemes were left in limbo. They were only in words; they were announced, but nothing happened. So this is a common thing over the years. New Delhi has not been serious in giving money to J&K when it needs.
Mustafa Kamal, thank you so much for speaking with Mirror now. Some very pertinent points being raised there. Farid, let me come back to you. Mustafa Kamal very rightly pointing out that, it seems to be that the state and the government really is in a state of limbo, because what we're seeing right now is that not only politically that there seems to be a problem there, but let's remember that a governor's rule has been imposed in Jammu and Kashmir after a lot of political turmoil taking place. Not that Jammu and Kashmir needed any more of it. And now to top it all, now there is misappropriation of funds as being clearly exposed by the CAG report. You were taking us through how exactly and what exactly are the amount of funds that have been allocated and where or where not they've been used.
Yes, absolutely. The past 3 years have left this state in complete mess. Any which way you look at it, politically, you know what is happening. Situation-wise, there is militancy, there are protests, and now when you have a natural catastrophe which is knocking at the doors of the people, the steps that were taken or lack of steps that were taken, absolute callous attitude of the previous dispensation is now may come to haunt the people who have absolutely no role in this. They are the taxpayers. Their money is not being used for their benefit, and it is during these situations that people start to question the government. They should have been questioned earlier. Now 10,000 crores is a huge sum of money. Now imagine if it would have gone in the right direction. People would not have to suffer right now because you had enough money to ensure that...
Fareed, I'm very sorry to cut you off there, but we have Wahidur Rahman of the PDP now joining us on the phone line. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with Mirror Now. What we can see on our screens right now is that heavy rains have lashed the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Authorities have in fact issued this flood alert. But what we're also noticing is that there are no lessons that have been learned from 2014, because what we're seeing right now in this CAG report, 10,000 crores were released for particularly this, when things like this happen, when there are flash floods, when there is heavy rains that lash the state. But where are all those funds? Are they even being used?
Look, we have seen floods in Jammu and Kashmir a few years before, and then the money which initially came was for rehabilitation of the people who got affected. The second stage was of dredging. Entire Jhelum, the dredging is not only started but almost completed in a lot of the places. Now the floods you are seeing, today if you see it, as of now, there are no breaches. There is a risk of, because water levels are very high, but to say that, government has not done anything is totally wrong. There is climatic change happening everywhere, and floods, Kashmir is prone to floods. There have been anticipations also. We've been trying our level best to ensure there are no breaches happening. But at the same time, you need to understand that this entire process of, basically dredging, there are agencies involved, there are firms involved, there's a proper process involved of, this fund flow where it takes place. So we have been battling with law and order situation, we have been battling with terrorism, we have been battling with peace and stability. You need a lot of things to be in place. That's why we were continuously talking that, things were not smooth, and it is true that a lot of amount has not been spent rightly, in a way, on timely because of the situation that was. But so far, floods are concerned, dredging is concerned, a lot of priority was given to this. Other development may have suffered in some of the areas, but this was always the priority of the J&K government, and that's why, as of now, we are seeing waters, we are seeing floods. There is enough rain, but at the same time, the machinery is able to cope up with the situation as well.
Sir, but one more question to you, and I'll keep it really short right now. The CAG report is clearly saying that 342.43 crores for disaster mitigation have in fact been diverted. So are you still trying to say that this is something of importance, that this is something of, of significance for the state government, when there are actual funds that are being allocated for relief that are not being used and diverted instead?
No, I don't think. I don't know what figures you're,
So it's a CAG report. So it's a CAG report from 2017.
I haven't seen this report, but to our information, what I know from the state government is that we have taken flood as a priority and disaster management as a priority. Look at the situation of, to ask your reporters to see the entire banks of Jhelum. So everywhere work was on. It's not that work was not on. So you have a disaster, happening, but that doesn't mean that government has not been done much. A lot of work is already done. That's why today also we have a situation, but we're dealing with it. It's not that government was not prepared or it's not prepared, but you have such situations where some of the situation can go beyond your hand, but it was always a priority for J&K government, especially for our government. We have tried our level best to ensure that, city is safe and also ensure that dredging is done across the Jhelum.
Rahman, spokesperson of the PDP, thank you so much for speaking with Mirror Now. We'll continue tracking that story and bring you all the latest. Remember, over the last 2 days, Jammu and Kashmir has been witnessing Heavy rainfall, all schools have been shut in Kashmir as a precautionary measure. The Jhelum River and its tributaries are flowing above the danger mark. People living around the area have been issued an alert. Relief and rescue teams are on standby. In fact, in Kishtwar, a 24-year-old woman has been killed after a tree fell on her house. Her daughter has also been left severely injured. Our reporter Prashant got us this ground report.
It's been raining since past 3 days, precisely from Wednesday night, and the condition here in Kashmir is completely pathetic, with Jhelum overflowing over the danger levels. Now, what we're given to believe is that the disaster management here has already given an information about flood. An alert has been sounded, and if I can just ask Umar, my video, to give you a sense of how it looks like. Now, we are reporting from Rajba Shukur area of Srinagar right now, and you can see in most of the houses, the water has already entered. Now, these are the residential complexes in which you can see water. Since we are on the upper side of it, we have less water here, but once you go inside, the condition is really pathetic, with people saying that the water has even entered their rooms, drawing rooms, and even bedrooms. So this is a kind of condition that is prevailing right now, and this at a time when the government had earmarked crores and crores of rupees for flood management. But over the past 4 years, because in 2014 there was a massive floods here, and after that no lessons have been learned, nothing has been done on ground, and as a result we are once again staring at a tragedy if at all the rains doesn't stop.